it looks like he's saying, okay, do I read off the card? He's laughing, and then he goes over and starts basically breaking down and crying. So let's show that clip.
Somebody's there, and they're getting ready to make come to the microphone, so listen to her. Okay. My name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the same elementary school shooting here in Connecticut.
I haven't touched this, okay? All I know is they're seizing on it. They staged Fast and Furious. They had a Gunners of America. I said on my own show, Larry Pratt, that if they staged Fast and Furious that killed thousands, our government, to like the Second Amendment, they stage anything.
Mr. Parker, what I'd now like to do is play a portion from Alex Jones's deposition given earlier this year concerning the same video.
Objection relevance to this witness, Judge?
It's an additional party.
Relevance to this witness?
I'm going to allow it.
Let's go to 47B.
It looks like he's saying, okay, do I read off the card? He's laughing, and then he goes over and starts basically breaking down and crying. So let's show that clip.
My name's Robbie Parker. My family is one of the families that lost a child yesterday in the same elementary school shooting here in Connecticut.
I haven't touched this, okay? All I know is they're seizing on it. They staged Fast and Furious. They had a Gunners of America.
Now, you have touched it, right? Because you put it in slow-mo, right?
Are you saying we doctored this to tape?
I'm saying that the footage that you just showed had been put into slow-mo, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, did you see Mr. Jones smirk when he was watching you come up to give your statement?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Are you aware, Mr. Parker, that you're not the only parent who Mr. Jones referred to as an actor?
Correct.
Let's play additional testimony from Mr. Jones concerning that same video.
No objection, Judge.
All right, Mr. Jones, I want to bring up exhibit number 47. Do you recall publishing a video in January of 2013 in which you reported to your audience on the Sandy Hook shooting?
No, I don't recall.
Okay, so for the record, we're going to be playing 47A.
People who've been coached, people who've been given cue cards, people who are behaving like actors.
You refer to people who have been coached, right?
Yes.
Who are you referring to?
People like Parker and others.
You know you were talking about Mr. Parker as being one of the people who was coached, right?
Yes, I think that's who we're alluding to.
And you're referring to people who have been given cue cards, right? And are you referring to Mr. Parker there?
Yes.
And
others.
And people who are behaving like actors, right? And there you're talking about Mr. Parker, correct?
Yes.
And do you recall who you believed was behaving like an actor?
I mean, there are a lot of people.
In terms of individuals, okay? You said people who are behaving like actors. You're referring to Robbie Parker, number one, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're referring to other people as well, correct?
Yes.
In 2013, Robbie can you describe for the jury what your mindset was and how to deal with all of the threats and harassment that were being directed towards you and your family?
I mean, I've been taught that, you don't engage with a bully. If somebody's bullying you, you ignore them, and eventually they get tired and they leave you alone. And that had worked for me in my life. And so that was kind of how I approached this. We just need to just weather this storm. And they're mad and they're upset and all this is going on. This is a big news story right now, but it's going to die down and it's going to go away. I remember a conversation that I had with my friend Brad, who had been managing the Facebook page, and he was begging me to, we need to do something, we need to say something, we need to post something, or we need to combat what they're saying. And my response to him at the time was, these are just people who are taking a break from looking for Bigfoot. After a few weeks, they're going to leave us alone and they're going to go back trying to find Bigfoot. We're not going to say anything. And so on the Facebook page, how we were handling, because it was so inundated. It was so inundated, and people were messaging the administrator saying, aren't you guys going to do anything about this? And we had 8 people that we had allowed to be administrators on the page who just spent as much free time as they could report, ban, delete, report, ban, delete, report, ban, delete, trying to get rid of this stuff, just to try and get it far enough down on the page so that if anybody came to the page, the first thing they would see would be something about Emilie and not all of this filth. And then by the middle of January, I finally just turned the page off. I couldn't I felt like I couldn't protect Emilie's name or her memory anymore. So I had to get rid of it.
Throughout 2013, after you turned that page off, were people still able to reach you?
They were able to, in a number of ways, whether it be by phone or by email or by letters to my house or through my own personal Facebook account.
What steps did you take to try and ensure that your daughters, Madeline and Samantha and Alyssa, and you were safe?
I mean, the first thing, I didn't even know about privacy settings and stuff like that, and I didn't realize that I had, left myself that exposed on social media, and Facebook was the only social media account I had. So I changed my privacy settings, and I didn't realize that they could still get a hold of me or try and contact me through other ways on social media. As far as my girls, all I could do was pray for them and pray for our family. And I didn't want them to ever be exposed to this, and I didn't want them to know what was going on. As far as me and Alyssa, I shared with Alyssa what I felt like I could, or what I felt like she had told me that she could handle. She made it clear that she wanted to know about stuff, but not too much details. There was a contact with the FBI. Her name was Ashley Hall. We had been introduced to her at one of the meetings that we had. And so I would forward stuff to law enforcement. And the other thing would just be try to report this stuff. I would report it to Facebook. I would report things to YouTube. I was pleading for their help.
Did there come a point, Robbie, where you felt like in order to protect your family, you had to move from Newtown?
Eventually, yeah. And that was, it's not as easy as a decision as some people might think. We had this family here of people who knew exactly what we were experiencing, meaning the other victims' families. And I didn't know if I could move anywhere in the country and find that kind of a support system. But I was so ashamed in my belief that I had brought this on everybody. because I was the first person that said something. I was the person that laughed. I was the person who was being targeted. And by that, as we see, it went to everybody. I became they, and we all became they. The they that he talks about. That was all of us. And
You felt responsible for that?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you still feel responsible for that?
On a really deep emotional level, I do. Logically, I know that that's not true, but I can't help but feel that still. So, my relationship with this family of ours, in my mind, was deteriorating, and I didn't know how to be around them. I just assumed the worst. And eventually we started looking at places to move because I just wanted to get some anonymity. My girls were young enough at the time that I felt like we could move and we can find a place where this doesn't happen to us anymore. And I want to give them as normal as an experience as they can, where the hardest thing that they have to deal with is just trying to remember who their sister was. That's all I wanted. I wanted some anonymity, and I wanted to get away, and I wanted to provide something that I felt like I wasn't able to do here.
So as a result of all that, did you and your family pick up, sell your house, buy a new house?